Well, it looks like we're going to get an early start today. Wasn't much happening at work, so I took some time off and did some personal things. So I'm on a little early tonight. And let me see here. We're going to do a little work on the wing. It's coming out pretty good. I'll show you what I've got done, and we'll carry on. Let's see here. I've been working on the tips, and I filled in this back spot here, and this transition is always tough, so we're going to super fill this and super fill in all the imperfections here. This is always tough to get these down to look right. You'll notice that I made different sanding blocks with this is just balsa wood. It's 5/16 wood, which I don't use. So I had a piece of it, and I just put some sticky back paper on it. Made a T-handle block. I have one for this is 180. Somewhere around here, there's a 320, 220. Anyway, so now because I'm getting close to where I'm going to be for finishing this thing, I'm going over everything, and this is the detail work that I talk about, where you have to look at every joint to make sure that they're filled in. Here's one that's not. We'll just put a little super fill right there and block sand that off. Of course, we're going to get super fill all out in the tip here. So let's get some super fill. I have to order some more, it looks like. If you're not using superfill, you're missing out. This is the best product going. You can get it from Wix Aircraft. It's $20 for a container. Well, it looks like I'm really low. I don't have a new one here. Looks like I'll have to order another one. No, I got plenty here. Okay, good. Now the mixing ratio is 2-to-1. I got some more here. We got enough for this model. So let's see here. We got this. Now I used to use epoxylite. Epoxylite is good. I learned how to work with it fairly well, but it's hard and it's also heavy. It's a lot heavier than superfill. But some people like to use epoxy with microballoons, which is fine too. But I gotta say, superfill sands easier and it's lighter than anything that I found. It's real aircraft stuff. So got to get a mixing container here. I didn't bring home a new one, or did I? Yeah, back to these, I guess. I hope you guys have been following along like the oh man, that's full of crap too. Mega Tucker series. There we go. I got one that's clean. These are those tape containers I take from work. They're really good for that. So, let me clean some of this stuff off here so I can get a bit going here. This wing will be ready to cover by this weekend. You know, it'll at least be ready to start doping by this weekend. I certainly don't want to make it a major project and stay on it for months and months and months. This airplane will not be ready for the Nationals, should there even be a Nationals, but I don't see that happening. I'm too far behind, and I don't feel like putting a hump on to do it. Got too much going in real life. I haven't even entered the Nats this year yet. Normally I'm entered by now, but I'm trying to hold off to see if they're even going to have it, because I know how the AMA works. If you pay your money and they cancel it, you're out the $100. And I'm not into that. That's just how they work. So let's see what we got here. We'll put this over here. We got 5 viewers. Okay, we'll get this out of the way. We got good audio here or what? And I just put a little nick in the leading edge. Now, I use plastic spoons to scoop that stuff out with. Do not use the same plastic spoon back in. Let me know in the chat. Can you guys hear me? I saw some people drop off here. It looks like we got audio, but I can't tell. I suppose. You guys keep me in the dark. Okay, plastic spoon. We'll try to get 2 scoops out of here. Or thereabouts. Yeah, there's one, kinda. You know what? I think I don't think I'll make up 2 scoops. I'll make up just 1. So now we need 50%. Thank you for the likes. We need 50% of this part here. This stuff has ammonia in it, I think. That's what it smells like. It smells like ammonia, and sometimes it'll settle to the bottom. You can either turn the cans over and over and over again and get the ammonia to go back. See, you can tell right there. You look at it, it looks like caramel. Don't eat it. But we'll get it mixed around here. That is the activator. I'm not sure what the other is, if it's a fill or whatever. I'm not sure if this superfill uses glass or what's that other shit Randy sells? the talcum powder type stuff. I can't remember. Zinc stearate. So we got about half the same amount, and it's not a science. It doesn't have to be exact. I mixed it as much as 50-50 before. So it's about 75%, I guess. Let me wipe this off. I have to be so careful. You know, I'm working over carpet here, so I got to keep, like I say, this is not my place. We're renting this, so I have to be careful with the sanding and everything on the floor, so on and so forth. Anyway, let's mix this up. And it's kind of a stiff putty. I suppose you could use alcohol in it. Not isopropyl, but what is it? I can't even remember what the name of that stuff is. Ethyl alcohol. Stuff we use to fly with. Campfire alcohol. To thin it out, but it'll be fine. Hey, thanks, Gerald. The guy's from New Zealand. I'm still working on getting Al Raid's stuff encoded. I don't think he knows how to close a CD. I think that's what the problem is. Because even with the new player, they hang up. So I know it's not the player, it's the CD. So I think Al is not finalizing the CDs when he tapes them or burns them or whatever. So I have to play Computer Guru and go through and see what I can do. I'm just getting some of the activator off the spoon here. I'm kind of off camera, but I gotta be. Okay, get a wooden stick here and stir the last bit of the activator in. I got a letter from Craig. Yeah, I won't tell you his last name, but he kind of told me not to break my neck getting stuff out for the sponsors and the supporters. They just want to see my no BS style of doing things, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay, we got a nice peanut butter type paste here. And we're gotta get some type of card. I don't know that I have any. I don't think I have any cards that I can use. Any credit cards or I don't have any more motel keys. Let me look here. Yeah, I do. Okay, it's not a motel key, it's a credit card, but I've since replaced it because it's cracked, so we'll use that. This is what I use. Hey, RC. Sometimes I use sponges, sometimes I use balsa, sometimes I use open hand. It kind of depends on the surface. Like here I used open hand. This area right here is the hardest transition to make and make look good. It's unreal because it's either that or have a big old wide uh, flap, you know, and I ain't going for that. Okay, gotta add a little more. Yeah, you're gonna. Hey, Jack. Yeah, you're gonna sand quite a bit of this off, but you don't want to make your work any harder for you than you have to. So get her smoothed out nicely. That'll work. That'll do it. I do a lot of wiping off of the tools so that I can get a fresh start on things. That'll be fine. I'll just have to sand it in there. Just doesn't want to act right. So I had this little spot right there. I want to make sure to get that puttied up. And you know, all this stuff is how much attention to detail do you want to take? So we got that one puttied, and that'll work fine. I had a divot there, and I wish I could push on this way, but I'm afraid that I can't. Take the flap off. Try it once more. That low spot will drive you nuts. They're hard to do. That's all I can say. Hard to do and get right. Well, I got that spot right there, but now, there it is. I got it. Yay. Okay, we'll sand from there. You could drive yourself nuts going over that stuff. Okay. So I need to get this off the bench. I kind of should have done this a week ago, and I'd already have this done. You've seen it. No, I do not, Fred. I do not. Never do I put water or dampen anything, ever. What I'll do here is I'll put a coat, one coat of 100% clear dope. No, it's not thinned, over the whole thing. And then I'll let that dry, and I'll sand it with 320. And then I'll go 3 more coats of 50-50 dope, sanding in between each coat. Then it's ready for tissue. Me and water and balsa wood, the only time I use water on wood is when I'm bending it. And that's, I don't know. No water, never. But, you know what? I'm not the end all. That's just the way I do things. Anybody can do it, you know, I can't say that it's not right. It's just that I don't do it that way. I need to get rid of this spoon. Okay. That's, we got one side, 25% done. Now what I do is I look over the flaps, see if there's any spots that need any putty. And we probably could put a little putty in the hinge area here. I just don't want to make myself a whole lot of extra work, so keep the putty down to a minimum. That's close enough. I'll get a different camera angle here for you guys. So in this detail sanding as well, we're rounding off all the cap strips. And I use a sanding stick like this or a fingernail file. Now, I wasn't a believer in this for the longest time. But after working with John and seeing, you know, the difference between his cap strips and mine, I realized this is a good idea. This is going to drive me crazy here. You want to break all the edges, especially around the tips and on the sheeting. You want to roll that down. That makes it, I couldn't believe how much difference it makes in the covering. If you look at, and I've been doing it this way for years, not rounding those over, and could never figure out why I can't get a real nice crisp line on those cap strips. Well, this is John's idea. Seems to work pretty good. can always learn. So I'm going, hey, thank you, Fred. Super chats are always helpful. Our channel has been rather sparse in the super chat area since I started the membership drives. Okay, you want to go over all these areas, the cap strips. If they're not touching, if it wasn't a perfect joint, put some filler in it, because that'll show up in the covering, boop, just like that. And it'll stick out like a sore thumb. And when I'm judging appearance at the Nationals or whatever, I'm looking for everything, because I know I think Keith Drossel wrote a judging guideline for appearance judging, and that's all well and good. If it has a pilot, it gets an extra point, or ink lines, and I've been told that it's better not to have any ink lines than have ink lines with mistakes. So what I'm looking at are mistakes and things that you forgot to do. So now remember, superfill is harder than balsa wood. Not a lot harder, but you don't want to give yourself a whole lot of extra work. So keep the superfill down to a minimum. I'll just go over that with 320, and this will probably take 180 to shape, and then 320. So let's turn it around and do the other tip. Now I won't do the bottom, because it'll end up sticking to the buck. So I'll wait for this to dry, sand it, turn it over, and do the bottom tomorrow. I suppose a guy could do it. I just don't want to chance it. This wing is relatively light. I think the last weight was 12 ounces. Complete as you see it here. It'll probably be 14 ounces covered and doped, which is still an ounce lighter than my 49 ounce Viper 6 wing. So we're on the right track. If you go back and you look at the Wendy videos, Wendy took a video of Viper 6 underneath the pagoda, and he called it my best work. It wasn't. My Thunderbolt was my best work, but it was 49 ounces, PA 65. I hated to lose that airplane too, but they're all got expiration dates. So now I'm looking at all the cap strip joints, make sure I got them all tight. They all look good there. Got one there on the bottom. Got one here. Got one here. You know, all this business is how good do you want to make it, you know? You don't have to do any of this, but I like my airplane when I set it down. People go, wow, that's stunning. Or, you know, that's cool. And there's only one thing that makes an outstanding model. I cannot stress this enough. Can anybody tell me what that one thing is? I'll tell you what it is. It's grease. Elbow grease. And lots of it. Man, I wish I could play music or something and not get a strike. Yeah, Fred, it's surface prep. 90% of the finish is right here in what I'm doing. Making sure all the mistakes are out of it before I put the covering on. Because if you put the covering on and you haven't got this fixed, it's too late. If you're shaping after the covering's on, it's too late. Man, I got a ding right there. It's going to be hard to get out. There we go. Now, it doesn't show on camera, but that looks like it's correct. It's not. If you were here and looking at it, you can see a shadow where that is. So that's a transition, and all the sanding in the world won't get that out. It's low. So you got to add some more peanut butter in there. That's pretty good, except for right there where it's low, right in this corner right here. That's pretty good. I mean, I can it'll probably take 2 coats superfill to do this. But as I stated, this wing will start to be covered this weekend. Saturday at John's will be doping at John's. You bet. I'm also going to have John look this over, which there's something that I've never had the luxury of having a second set of eyes. A second set of eyes that knows what they're looking for. Let me put it that way. So I'm going to have John look it over. And, if I missed a spot or whatever, we'll try to correct it before I cover it. So that's about all I'm going to do on the wing today, because I got to let the superfill dry. So now I need to put this stuff over here. And we'll work on the canopy. You say, well, the canopy's done. No, it's not done. Let's see here. Let's change camera angles. And cam 2. So my thought was, I still got Charles's ribs here. I haven't mailed out to him. Shoot. Charles wanted me to mail him these ribs, and he sent me his address, and I must have fallen asleep because I haven't sent him yet. I'll put them on the table. Hopefully I don't miss it. Okay, we got a big mess going here. Okay, what I wanted to do with the canopy is I have some carbon fiber here. I think it's about probably 15, 20 thousandths thick, somewhere in there. I'm going to epoxy this carbon fiber around the edge of this frame where the yellow tape is there. And you say, well, what for? And that's to keep people from crushing the canopy. So this frame will get epoxied inside the canopy like this. Come on. Like so. And then across the top, and then sanded flat. So in order to do this without screwing things up, I need to tape the canopy off on the inside so that the epoxy doesn't smoothie out on that, because that canopy turned out sweet. Of course, it's got a lot of work in it. I need to turn this light on over here. I can't see what I'm doing. I don't know how much that'll help, but it'll help some. Let's move the other camera over, because the other camera's the mic camera. Okay. And let's see here, transition. Oh, shoot. I Got to cut my fingernails too. It's the second time I've dinged the sheeting. So we'll do that right now. Get tired of fixing fingernail marks. Now I wear rings, and I never leave ring marks on anything. But fingernails, they can be something. So I suggest that you cut your fingernail. And if you're not used to wearing rings or watches, I don't wear a watch, but take them off around airplanes. When I'm handling somebody's airplane, like at the Nats or whatever, I'll take the rings off for the simple fact that I don't say, hey, you got rings, you made a dent. No, I didn't. Okay, that's good enough. Okay. So now, I'm going to tape the inside of the canopy. Of course, I need a cameraman. That's what I need. This frame will get painted red along with the airplane, inside and out. So it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. You guys, when you were watching my canopy video, I glued that frame on the outside, and it molded into the canopy itself. That was a slick move, because now the line is there. Because it's always hard to eyeball that line. I think to protect that canopy, I'm going to tape it all up. I certainly don't want to mess this up. I got some more, but it'd be my luck that a big old glob of epoxy will drip right down on it. Better safe than sorry. I'll tell you something about canopies and masking tape. If you're going to tape a canopy, don't leave the masking tape on overnight. If you leave it on for a week, you might as well cut the canopy off and redo it, because the glue won't come off the canopy. The longer you leave it on there, the harder it is to get off. Don't ask me how I know. Okay. Doesn't have to be taped really well on the outside because, like I say, we're going to paint that. I'm going to paint the frame on the inside, the black part, so that you can't see it from the inside, and I'll paint the canopy when I mold it into the fuselage. So have I bored you guys to death yet? About as exciting as watching Al Raid paint dry. Do I know if this is going to work? Nope. Do I think it's a good idea? Yep. We'll see what happens. Can't hurt. And all that would happen is I'd have to do it over. Buy another $10 piece of plastic and pull a couple more canopies. Okay, we got it now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 80 grit sandpaper and I'm going to scuff the crap out of the inside. See, 80 grit right here. Suppose I could do that with a Dremel. That's good. We're getting it. To be a model builder, you got to kind of think outside the box. You know, anybody can buy a kit. Hey, anybody can buy a kit and put it together to make an airplane that's successful, flies well, starting with nothing but an idea, is an accomplishment. It gives you a feeling of accomplishment. So anybody that wants to scratch build or whatever, and scratch build doesn't mean you got to use plans. You know, I can give you numbers that work. Very seldom do I ever draw a set of plans for anything that like my Viper's all in my head. I know what the numbers are. I know what the shapes are. Let's see, somebody said something here. Thank you, Evolution Glider. That's what it looks like with the canopy. Well, I can't see it now. The canopy's all taped up. If you're a glider pilot, you know what I'm doing to keep it light. Okay. This thing is going to be 58 ounces or I'll end up getting rid of it. Gotta stop at 58. Okay, we got that sanded. And where's that stick I had? Oh, here we go. So now we'll sand this. Hey, this is familiar. Okay. Oh, I need to put the lid on this. I'm not sure about when the Tucker or when the MC-72 was designed, built, or flown. I think it's around late 20s, early 30s. So this is that look from those eras. Well, Gerald, if you don't put something in there, guaranteed somebody's going to go ooh ooh and smash it. So we'll put the brace in there. I've learned Murphy's Law. This one also has a wing anti-smash brace where we hold it when we start them upside down. It's also going to get carbon veil on that area. Okay. So now I need to cut some pieces. This is not real critical. Because we'll sand the ends to fit. Yeah. So I need another piece this length. You could probably CA these in there, and it would probably work. The only reason why I'm not going to CA in it is I don't want the CA to wick underneath the tape. Because one thing I found, if you don't want CA to go somewhere, forget it. That's where it's going. Okay, now I need one across the top. And that's right there. You know, this you got to watch it though. Every little bit that you keep adding on, it all adds up in the end. Oh, I lost that piece. Where'd it go? Yeah, cut another one. Oh, there it is. If I use tow, I have spools of tow. I'd have to use a lot of glue to get any rigidity out of it. The tow is not heavy, it's the glue. And I'm not real sure how good the bonding of that would be anyway. So, you know, this is all an experiment. So now I'm just kind of getting all the spots that I missed, sanding. I hope this works. Okay, let's mix up some epoxy. It'll either be right or wrong one. I might have to do this in a couple of settings. Meaning I don't know that I can get it all in there and held together. All three pieces. But we'll try. Popsicle stick. Oh no, you're mixing epoxy with the brush. No. Popsicle stick. Five-minute epoxy. Paint the frame. Sorry I'm not talking. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, first piece is the top piece. Lay it in there. Second piece is a side piece. We'll sand it, we'll clean it up when it's all dried. Boy, I'm glad I put that tape in there. It's already mooeying out onto the tape. Okay, now just sit here and hold it. Wait for it to dry. Start cleaning it up after it dries. Okay, now I can't sing, but so it's going to be a minute till something happens. Make sure that it's pushed down there good. There we go. One thing I did notice here, you can see right through the canopy to see where it's not glued, where it's not pushed down for a good bond. So that should work right there. Wish there was some way I could wipe off that epoxy, that extra epoxy in there. But if I do, it'll disturb the frame, and then I don't know. Can't win. Let's see what the chatters are saying. Not toe, the flat. That's what it. Oh, you mean like this? You mean this stuff here? This is a 15 thousandths unidirectional carbon. Oh, man, too much junk here. Is that what you're talking about there, gliders? Yeah, alcohol. Except I don't have that kind of denatured alcohol here. I only have rubbing alcohol. But it'll be fine. It's on the tape. I'll just sniff it and pull it up. It's almost dry. Yeah, there's no resin in that, I don't think. It goes down with CA. We take that, and there's another myth about how carbon fiber works. That carbon fiber sheet is extremely strong as long as it's standing. If you're spanning the length of the fuselage, as long or length of the spar, as long as it's standing up. If you lay it this way, it's got no strength at all. I'm not sold on carbon fiber, and that's why John and I are going to do that experiment to show you exactly what is stronger. Silk span, carbon for 2/10 carbon veil, Japanese tissue, silk, and you're going to be real surprised which one wins. I can tell you that right now. I can make kind of a guarantee which one's going to win. But we'll see. Yeah, there we go. We're dry, more or less. So now I will take my scalpel and relieve the epoxy from the. We don't care if it's on the inside of the toe. Okay. I can just about guarantee that if I didn't put some kind of strengthening edge on this, somebody's going to grab that and go, wow, that's neat. That'll keep it from getting pushed down. Not quite dry. We should be able to unmask it anyway, though. Gary Sinclair. All my loyal supporters and fans. If you're wondering why some of the guys' names are in green, it's because they're supporters. So hit the join button down there. It's by the subscribe button. And I do some extra videos. I will, now that I see how many subscribers and supporters are on here, the Al Raid videos I'm kind of having a problem with. I don't think Al knew how to close the CD. So I went out and bought a new CD drive, but the CDs are doing the same thing in that drive, so it's got to be a different problem. Let's see here. Might as well watch me unwrap this thing. Not too exciting, but no dancing girls, no no music. I suppose you could do this to a bubble canopy too. Well, we're gonna do the break test. We're gonna get a scale to see how many pounds it takes to break a piece of wood covered with silk span, silk, carbon bale, Japanese tissue. Which one do you guys think is going to win? Well, that turned out good, except for there's some tape still glued to the frame here. So I'm going to have to get that off. I can just about bet with certainty that the Japanese tissue is going to win over carbon fiber. But we'll see. We'll show it live. I'm having to pick out the tape that got glued to where the epoxy ran over the carbon. But I'll get it. course, it won't show anyway because it's going to get painted, but don't try this at home. You could really hurt yourself if you slipped. Come on, get out of there. There we go. Gotta pick it up with my fingernail. Of course, I just cut my fingernails before I started this. Now I need them. There we go. I'm happy with that. That turned out really good. Okay. I'll get you close up what this looks like, but I still need to sand the back of the glass to the back of the frame. And that's what it looks like. I'll have to sand this up next to the frame, which won't take long. Let's see, what do I want to use? 180, I guess. That might take too long. How about 80 grit? Let's see what happens there. There we go. That's the picket. Then I'm going to have to relieve the fuselage to accept the frame. I can't believe I've been on an hour and 12 minutes already. Let's see, that's up tight. This is not. That's up tight now. There we go. Okay. Do I know whether this is going to help or not? No, it can't hurt. Kind of like a real airplane, you know, it's got to have a frame around the glass. If I was real slick, I could go down the front of that, 2 pieces down the front, but I'm not going to bother. I'll just paint it. I just want it for anti-helper proof. I suppose you could use wood too. It wouldn't matter. And that doesn't matter. It's going to get painted anyway. So Let's see what it looks like on there. Get a paper towel. A little spot of smuts right there, but that'll be painted in. Let's see here, down. That's what we got there. That would a pain in the butt. That's okay. Yeah, that turned out good. Not bad for out of balsa wood into a canopy. Needs to be sunk down just a little bit more. That's just a little higher than the hood scoop. So I'll have to dig that in before I hollow the inside out to make sure that I got enough room. Let's see. Heavy silk. Nope. Japanese tissue is going to win out, Gerald. It has the highest tensile strength. It's the lightest and the strongest. I want you to take a stick of balsa wood, 16th, 8th inch, whatever, 3 inches wide, 2 foot long. I've done this before, I already know. 2 foot long. Three coats of dope. Dope it on the stick. Japanese tissue over the top of it, shiny side up. 3 coats of dope. Let it dry, and then try to break it against the Japanese tissue. So if you want it strong both ways, you'd have to put tissue on both sides, but try to break it down from the top, and you'll see how strong that stuff is. Where carbon fiber, that 2/10 carbon valve, that's nothing. It's only as strong as the dope. Silk span will probably run the close second. Silk tears, and it's heavy. It takes a lot of dope to fill it. So 3 coats of dope is not enough to really fill silk. So when I was a kid, we used to go into the hardware store, not the hardware store, the dime store, and look at women's scarves, and they'd have paisley and tie-dye and all kind of silk scarves. We take those silks and cover our airplane with that stuff with clear dope. And when you paint the dope on through silk, you can see it puddling inside. So you paint them overhead so the dope stays on top. I've done all that nonsense. But I think this is cool, man. It's going to be sharp. I didn't think I was gonna like didn't think I was gonna like this airplane, but with a few artistic licenses that I've put in it, it's gonna be nice. Got a real nice shape to it. I wish I could get it to stand up here. Let's see here. We'll get it to stand up. I got a lot of work to do on hollowing them blocks yet. I've lost about 2 ounces. I need to lose 2 ounces more. I just keep looking at it to see what I need to change, if anything. Yeah, this spot here. When I mold the canopy in, this will be flat down, so this will become part of the canopy. We'll mold it, we'll putty it back about 1/8 of an inch onto the canopy itself, and on the bottom it'll have an 1/8 inch line where it'll be molded in, and of course this is the frame that'll be painted red. There's 2 pieces of frame up here that'll be painted red, so it'll look like it just comes right off the scoop into the headset. Now John has given me some glue, some plastic glue, to glue my big pilot together. I need to kind of get an idea. Do I want to use the big one, or do I want to use Clark Gable? I think it's probably going to be the big one, because Clark Gable looks a little small. Of course, he'd be sitting down. I don't know. I would have to cut his head off and turn it. Tommy Looper painted that pilot for me. It's I wish it was a wood one for this, because the wood one was so much lighter. But I can ask Tommy for another pilot. Of course, you know, if I called him up and offered him some money, maybe he'd do it. So, I don't know. The next size pilot up, what did I do with him? Now, here's his head. Three more canopies there. I think this guy here is going to be more scale-like. Just got his head cut off here and just glue the head on. Of course, this is too tall. I got to set him down in there. But I think this guy here is be more scale. Like this guy looks like a kid flying it. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Been on hour and 30 minutes, so 90 minutes. I guess we'll try again for tomorrow night. Until I see you tomorrow night, fair winds, tight lines. See ya.